Hello, and welcome back to Terrestrial Nomad, the podcast. It has been 7 days since my last recording. I double-checked the last recording just to see what the date was, and I couldn't believe it, but it was last Friday that I recorded, and now it is this Friday that I am recording. It is July 24th. And we are also 1 week away from the end of July, 1 week away from it almost being my 4-month anniversary on trail. We are 1 week away from it being close to having about just 2 months left of hiking, real hiking, before winter gets bad in Washington. So a lot of things are happening, and a lot of things are progressing, and the through hike experience is shifting in a positive way. You can feel the energy feels different among the hikers now. I've noticed that I'm in a new group of people kind of since the last 7 days. I'll have to go over everything that's happened just because I can't believe I should have recorded in between this week, just because I don't think there's any way that I can possibly grasp and translate all this stuff back. It's just all locked up in my memory right now. But anyways, I'm with a new group, and I can feel that we're all at a point now where we don't have to all hike together for 700 miles to be best friends. Every person I'm meeting now, it's like we are just starting off at best friends, and we're proceeding from there. I'm in a totally new group of people. I can't even think of all the people. Geisha Diamonds, Boomer, Hiccups, Walkie Talkie, Rebel Biscuit, Butt Plug, Ox, Gosh. There's a few others, but we're kind of all in the same bubble, and we all got trapped over at a festival that was happening on trail. But let me start back at a week ago from where we left off, the last recording. Let's see. I think I was at that one river where me and Tejas ended up taking psychedelics and spending the day until about 6, and then we got going after that. We had a really good time. That was kind of one of the last few nights that we were really hanging out. We did get into Belden, I think, the next day. And in Belden Town Resort, actually, I think I was on my way to Bucks Lake Lodge. But regardless, we got there. It was really cool. We got beers and cigarettes and had a really good time and met some cool people and got some trail magic, got a little free weed from one of the local guys. It was pretty cool. We got pretty hooked up there, and it was a really cool, just little detour to get another hot meal. Since then, we hiked. We got to another bridge with a swimming spot, hung out there. We ended up going through, the next town that we were going through was Belden Town, and it's a resort town, so it's not really a town. It's kind of a ghost town that just operates on some weekends in the summer, and they have festivals and different kind of events like that you can kind of rent this resort town out. So the festival that we ended up at was called Sunset Camp Out, and it's associated with this San Francisco based, I don't know what you would call it. It's the scene sort of felt more like a rave than High Sierra Music Festival is more of a jam band, but this one felt more of a rave kind of. So I guess it's a company that's associated with, it's San Francisco based, and I think they're called Sunset. But then this one in particular was the Sunset Camp Out. So they have different festivals. I think one every other weekend in the summer or something like that. So it was pretty cool. I actually ended up seeing a couple of people I knew. one person that I used to work with at the bank, and another person that was just a friend of a friend in San Francisco. So that was pretty neat. I was able to, let's see, where's my brain at? I'll just start from the very beginning. The day before the festival, we hear there's a festival going on Thursday through Sunday. If you get in, if you're a hiker, they'll give you a free wristband, and you can kind of just hang out, and then you can camp anywhere where normal people would pay, not normal, but yeah, festival goers would pay to camp. So we were able to get in for free and hang out at this festival, which was super cool. So we got in. The vibe was super cool. Everybody was having a really good time. My mind went straight back to High Sierra Music Festival, and I was just thinking, like, okay, my brain was getting into festival mode, ready to party. And we got our bags packed up, and Tejas's parents her mother and brother and sister were meeting her just at the bridge. And I didn't really want to go off, and I just kind of wanted her to have her family time. So I hung back with everybody else who was meeting up there and all the other people that were already there. Hung out with all of them for a while, and slowly but surely started to indulge in festival activities, the drinking, the drugs, the bad decisions, and we were all having a really good time, dancing, and then we were just kind of listening to music and dancing and hanging out, and it was a good old time. We just still couldn't believe that we were on trail. The trail literally goes through this place, and a rave is happening basically on the Pacific Crest Trail. So we all were having a really good time and just really loving it, and ended up meeting up with Tejas later that night. She told me she's camped already across the street. She already set up, and that she was probably going to go to bed early. I ended up staying up until about 3 a.m., and then at about 3 a.m. I went to go see if I could find her, and I ended up getting back on trail and sleeping on a bridge in pretty, not a very good shape because of all the indulgence, and came back in the morning, got my package from the Brattons. They were really nice, trail angels. Word is that there's been hikers not being so good with them, and them not having so many good experiences with hikers, and I do not think that they are going to be trail angels next year. But if they are, I would get a package shipped there or go into Chester because there's not much on either side. And they were really helpful, and they actually drove it down to the rest area for me, so I didn't even have to leave the festival. So that was Saturday night. So that would have been the next night after the last recording that you heard. And that was cool. And we ended up actually even staying Sunday night as well because it was so hot, and the climb out of Belden, we were trying to do a 20-mile day out of Belden, the elevation was 6,600 feet, I think. So it was just like, we didn't really want to do that in the heat of the day, and we had already kind of started drinking on Sunday, so everyone just wanted to stay put, and that's kind of what we did. So we all got up early Monday morning, left out, got what we needed to resupply, said goodbye to everybody. That was the day that I saw my old coworker there, which was pretty funny. It was just good to see him as well, because I had just visited him back in San Francisco and went out with him on a couple weeks ago, just on a kind of a pub crawl throughout the downtown and the Tenderloin area. So that was fun. And on the way out, climbing up the hill, this trail romance thing that I keep talking about has been going like a roller coaster, kind of up and down and up and down. And I've had a lot of time in the last week to really hike alone and process my feelings and think about things. So I've been going over it in my head, and then that day, leaving Belden, I was able to talk to Tejas, and, I just sort of told her exactly how I was feeling. I still haven't gotten into, any of the situations or whatever, and that's not really what I'm here for, because it's all pretty petty and it's just kind of small stuff. But what it boils down to is that I don't really want to be in the situation of feeling like I'm hiking with someone necessarily, and that if it's not a relationship to take serious, then I don't want to be in that relationship. And it's going to be so weird me trying to say it from a one-sided story without sounding like a dick and explaining my side only. So even when I did talk to Tejas, and we kind of talked, and I just said, hey, I think it would just be better if we hike during the day together, that's fine, but when it comes to the night, maybe if we just just stop camping together pretty much, and stop sort of stop spending so much time together, basically, and not in a mean way. I still love her and she's a great person, but she agreed. She seems kind of sad, but at first, and then later we were joking about it that day. I was asking her if she would be back on the podcast one day, and maybe we could do the breakup podcast and sort of explain some of the situations, because I just don't think that, from my side only, it's going to sound like anything but me being childish or something. So I would hate to hear a recording of me doing that. So I think it'd be cool if we had a breakup cast, or just one where we talked out and maybe even just said, hey, here, this was my version of what the trail romance was, and then maybe you could, I don't know, maybe that would be interesting for you, maybe it wouldn't. I think it would be, and I'm going to do it, so if you don't want to listen to it, it's going to be there in the future. But no worries, it wasn't a big deal, and I think we're both, adults, so we're not too, no one's too hurt over it, and it's nothing major happened, so it's, nice and easy. After Belden, we climbed 6,600 feet, made it 20 miles. The next day, I think the next day was 24 to Belden, 24 to Drakesbad. And in the middle of that, we hit the halfway point, which was cool. If it wasn't the next day after Belden, it was the day after, maybe 2 days after. And we got to, what is the name of that place? Drakesbad Guest Ranch or something like that. That was a really cool establishment. I would highly recommend going there because it's almost on trail, and it's free shower, free laundry, $12 dinner buffet, and it was awesome. And I had breakfast, which was like $10, also buffet, and I even packed some stuff out in Ziploc bags, and it was just really cool, and there was a lot of people there, and it kind of felt like the Belden Rave Part 2, so that was pretty cool, too, to just see everybody all again and all hanging out. So Drakesbad happened, got some good food. I got out of Drakesbad a little late because I stayed for breakfast. I got out at 9 a.m., and I hiked my ass off trying to get to Old Station, California, where I had 2 packages, one from my mom and one from Rachel. And I knew they just had snacks in them, but I just wanted to grab them and then get out of Old Station and get back on trail and start doing miles. But I actually did do 24 miles from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., so 7 hours of hiking, and I did 24 miles, which felt absolutely amazing. I was definitely hurting after, but it was my first time where I definitely felt like a 30 or 35 mile day could happen, and I was kind of proud of myself. I was feeling really good about it. But I got to the Old Station post office, and they were closed. And Half Mile Map says that they're open until 4:30. So I started asking around, I started knocking on windows, and I was kind of just, I was upset about it at first. But then it all sort of faded away when I started hanging out with the hikers and just sat out front of the store, and we all just kind of went on a little adventure anyways, and it all ended up just being fun, and we ended up just kind of drinking and hanging out like we normally do. It could have been in a better area. Like Old Station's not a great place to take a kind of a long stay at, but it was okay. Trying to think of what we did. Oh yeah, so the store closes at 6, so I was able to get in there and get some stuff, but no hot food. I was kind of bummed about that. JJ's Cafe down the street was also closed at 3 p.m. The post office doesn't open until 11 a.m. the next day, so I know I'm going to be there for a while. So I think, okay, I'm not hiking in the morning. I'm going to get drunk tonight. So we get a few beers at the store that closes at 6 that we're sitting out in front of. They close. A bunch of other hikers show up, and we start thinking, okay, let's see. Someone pulls out a Yogi guide and sees that there's another gas station down by JJ's about 4 miles away. And we are trying to get a hitch over to this other gas station to get more beer because we know that there's probably more hikers coming behind us. And we never get a hitch. We try for about an hour, and it is just the most, it's just the least successful hitch I've ever done, and including in the morning, but I'll get to that in a second. And we ended up calling a trail angel who has not been being a trail angel for a few years. Her name was Firefly. Very sweet old lady, and she was actually really nice. She even said, like, oh, I'm retired, but, like, I just still need my hiker fix, every now and then. And it was great. So she took us to this convenience store. I finished my resupply with a bunch of good stuff. I have way too much food. And then got back to the place with beers, chips, and cookies, all the stuff that hikers need to be successful. And when we get back, a couple other people show up, so we've got beers for everybody, and it's all great, and everybody's super excited, so that was awesome. Camped out just behind the store there where it was flat. Not a legal camping spot at all, but just sort of out of the view of anybody, and then woke up pretty early with the sun. Tried to get another hitch out in the morning to the JJ's Cafe. We heard they have a good breakfast, open at 7 a.m. We're trying to hitch for about an hour, and we do finally get a hitch, but it's not really a hitch. It's kind of someone dropping off other hikers, and they're like, oh, I'll take you to the other place too. So they're kind of just shuttling us around, but we were happy. So then about 6 or 8 of us were all together for breakfast at JJ's Cafe. It was fantastic. It was an amazing breakfast, just what I needed. Although I feel like I've been having a lot of hot, good, big portion meals lately, and it's going to throw me off when I start hiking or something. But JJ's Cafe was really good breakfast. And then we hitched back to Old Station Post Office to get our packages, the few people that needed them still. It was me and Geisha Diamonds were trying to get back in particular. There was a few other people trying to get back, but we were kind of on the same schedule. So we got back together, waited for 11 a.m. to happen. I think we waited another hour for that. They opened, got our packages, got my stuff. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Rachel. That was super awesome of you. Both of you got me like amazing snacks and cool stuff. Helpful items. Really glad to have all that stuff. And that was great. And then I think after about an hour of trying to hitch out back over to like where the PCT picks up, kind of skipping a couple miles, but just thinking like, man, it was too hot. I just wanted to get to where the water source was at this subway cave, because the water source is the last water for 30 miles on trail. So I just kind of wanted to like hang out there and, drink a bunch of water and camel up and hang out. So me and Geisha Diamonds just, we both got separate hitches, but both ended up at the water source there. And when I got there, he wasn't there. So I just sort of laid down and I kind of fell asleep. And then when I woke up, he was down there laying near me. So we were we both had the same idea to just sleep throughout the heat of the day, and then later we both woke up at the same time, and I told him that I think I'd like to start hiking at about 6 or so when the heat was really done, and I just had a few hours in me anyway. He agreed, so then at about 4 p.m., I think we had napped for about 3 or 4 hours. We went back to JJ's Cafe for dinner. I got a barbecue pulled pork sandwich. It was so good. We also got some homemade cinnamon rolls and split those, packed those out. They were so good. And so we hit the trail at about 6:30, 6 p.m. Got hiking about 5 miles. He passed me already. I just set up camp as the sunrise was going down, and I told him I just don't have it in me, and I'll do these miles in the morning, and maybe I'll try to eat some of my food weight off my bag. Right now I'm overflowing with food, but that's okay with me. So he passed me earlier at about 8 p.m. I set up, but I'm thinking I can probably get up at about 6 a.m. and get about pretty much to the water source before it gets too hot today. And then I'll probably sleep at the water source until about 4 p.m. and then hike for about 4 or 5 hours. Tomorrow night, do the same thing. So, somewhat of a strategy, but I don't know really what I'm really gonna do, because I just have such a heavy pack right now that it is killing me. But I got a lot of food, so that makes me happy. And I got everything I could possibly need. I'm camped alone for the first time in a long time, and I really love being camped alone as well. So I'm going to have a good day of hiking alone tomorrow, I'm sure, and then meeting up with people at the water, and then probably hiking alone again, which I'm looking forward to. Yes, today is Friday. I will be, in 6 days, I will be at Bernie Falls. No, that's not right. I'll be at Bernie Falls in a couple days. But in 6 days, I will be in Castella for that market there, and I'll resupply there. And in between, I hope there's some sweet stuff. I think Shasta might be an option to hike on, but I don't know if the PCT goes that way or not, or if you have to hitch, or I don't know the logistics, but I will find out. And if I have an extra days of food, so I would not mind bagging Mount Shasta. I don't know if I just said the first one, if I said Lassen or Shasta, but I meant Shasta. Mount Shasta, that's on Highway 5. We already saw Lassen Peak earlier, but I've been there before, and I've done the peak, and I've done some other hikes, so it didn't hold too much interest for me. I just wanted to keep going. And but Mount Shasta, I'd love to bag that one. I don't have much more to say. All is well. I'm having a really good time. It's great to be out of Old Station, California. Do not resupply there. Send a box there, and make sure you know the hours of the post office correctly. But do not try to buy anything there. The selection at the store that's next to the post office, the Rim Creek Resort, is dog shit. It's absolutely terrible. They have more shirts about fishing than they have food, and then the other side is, there was a sink faucet with like the knobs, and they were selling things that I wasn't really sure why they were selling it, when like fuel canisters would have made a lot of sense, or something like that. I'm not saying that everybody just has to cater to PCT hikers and the world needs to revolve around us, but if you're going to have a business that runs along the PCT, there's a few things that you could just put on your shelves that you could charge a ridiculous amount as well. Even if you think, well, this is only going to make money if I'm charging a ridiculous amount, that's fine. We'll pay for it. It's just crazy that it's not available sometimes. I shouldn't get all worried about it, but because there was also a gas station down by JJ's, the one that was actually open later than 6 p.m., that was amazing. Like, they had cheese and tortillas and all kinds of stuff that, a hiker would need, and reasonable prices. Like, they were not gouging at all. Like, it was the first time where a small place where I was very satisfied with what they had. Anyways, yeah, I don't think I have too much more to say. Yeah, just everything's great. Like, it couldn't be better. The whole environment, like I said in the beginning, is sort of shifting. That energy where we're all connected now. We're all on this different sort of mission. We hit the midpoint of the PCT. I think I've already said that. Just after Belden, between Drake. Yeah, I did say that. But we hit the midpoint, and something inside of me changed where I thought, like, okay, that was a crazy journey that you just went on. Now you're going to double it. Like, that's halfway. So that was kind of a lot to take in. Mentally. Physically, though, I feel great. I feel like I can't wait to keep moving on there and getting up to Oregon and then go through Washington. And I'm just super excited about this future. And it's going to mean a lot more miles and a lot more days. But I think everything was worth it. And I've been going slow on purpose. And I've been doing everything, I believe, the right way. And we will see how things unfold in the next episode of Terrestrial Nomad, the podcast. Goodbye, and I love you.